Very little fanfare.
I know. It looked like something explosive was going to happen, and it just didn't. So, can you see people? Because I cannot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 45 folks. Looks like.
Good. Well, hello, invisible people.
All of them haters, no doubt.
That's okay. I wish I could see them, though. That's too bad.
18 now, so already going great.
Yeah, that start did it. Oh, these guys? Oh, I see a question. Oh, yes. Yes, David, you're screwed. This is not going to go well. No.
David's good. He's really tuned into what we got going on here.
Okay, so I did see that question up here. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of waiting for 11 o'clock, I guess, to make it official and whatnot.
Yeah, we don't want to be premature here.
So is this the first time you have used Restream?
In a production capacity, of course, I've played around in here a lot. Working with on-site streaming mechanisms for Petri, but I've never been streamed.
Okay, I've only been on the
Trek
receiving
stuff
end.
here.
Yeah, right. Good morning, David. Well, all right, I think we could probably get started.
Let's get into it. Paul Thurrott, why are we here?
Why are we here? So I'm Paul Thurrott, as he said. I'm here with Nick Tirrell. He is our technology and operations director. I had to look that up, Nick. I think of you as our web guy. I hope that's not good.
I think of myself as an idiot, so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're all idiots, actually. But we're here to discuss the coming Thurrott refresh, which will occur over 3 stages. Each stage will have different milestones that we're hoping to hit. And talk about the schedule, what we're doing in each of those stages, that kind of thing. This is going to be nice for me because actually you have to do most of the talking because I don't really have much to do as far as the background.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So thank you for showing up for that incredibly difficult job that you just performed there.
I'll see you in an hour. Have a good time.
Yeah, so let's dive into it here, right? So we're gonna talk about the schedule in just a minute here, but I want to dive into a couple things at a high level, right? So why now? Why are we rebuilding Thurrott.com now? Well, the short answer is that it's beyond past due. Thurrott has been, unfortunately, as a result of a multitude of business needs, been kind of on the back burner for too long now, and both because of where we stand now with our other platform, Petri.com, and where the Thurrott platform exists in terms of its stability. As some of you surely saw this morning, we had some downtime. It's necessary for that to become a point of focus now. And what took so long, right? Just kind of frankly, from a business perspective, we had some significant amounts of technical debt across both of our platforms, Thurrott.com and Petri.com. And from a business perspective, it was necessary to unfortunately tackle what we had going on with Petri.com first. To be completely honest, that's a bigger revenue generator for us, right? So there's some reality to that.
There's also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we should also mention,
No,
Nick, you've been here for a couple of years, 2 years, I guess. And what you've adopted essentially is a set of messes that had been made prior to your arrival. And you have spent, I would say, all of those 2 years probably trying to unravel that stuff and make sense of it and, move things forward. Right. And that's kind of where we're at. So you've done a tremendous amount of work on Petri, and that site is
Sure.
in much better shape than it was. And
Sure.
mhm.
Yeah, as with a lot of technology platforms, for a long time, as an organization, we've lacked really defined technology strategy. I would say sort of stewardship. Our code bases have been kind of passed from one individual or set of individual contributors onto another, without any very strict sort of high level engineering governance, right? So we had a lot of debt, a lot of hole to dig out of as a result of that. um, and of course, the downtime that some of you have surely experienced regularly, and unfortunately more frequently recently on Thurrott.com, is a result of that. And as a product, we're making this process a major point of focus for us.
Could we blame
Um,
Brad Sams for most of this problem?
Yeah,
Is that a
we
fair?
probably should, right? And there was going to be a whole big section on that and the various ways in which he caused
Right.
everything that's wrong with the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's take a look at what we plan to do, and when we plan to do it, right? So we've got a three-stage process here. Okay.
Right.
So phase one is going to be focused around getting the core readership experience back up to snuff, so to speak. And that's going to entail, if I can zoom in here, I can't read a darn thing. That's going to entail a core relaunch of the reading experience. Now the theme here is not going to change, right? So what you see on the front end of the website, the way in which you interact with articles, the homepage, category pages, that sort of user interface is not going to be changing. What we're doing is really just redefining the back end and making it all work again. And as a result of that, some things that haven't worked for some folks for a long time, like RSS feeds, like the commenting system, etc., are all going to come online again, and in some cases with much improved functionality. Right. So we're working with a third-party partner to implement a commenting system on Petri.com called OpenWeb, that we're bringing over to Thurrott.com. Much improved experience in terms of conversations. So relieves a lot of pain points that a lot of folks have felt on Thurrott.com for a long time, namely like the ability to edit, delete, and like comments. A much better threading system, particularly for mobile folks, and on our end, much better optimization, much better moderation, that we think is really going to allow the community and conversation to flourish on Thurrott.com.
Okay.
We're going to have some new site user authentication that plays into our overall efforts to improve the server architecture and infrastructure. So right now, of course, as many of you know, Thurrott.com is a WordPress site, right? So we piggyback on a lot of WordPress functions in ways that they weren't intended to be utilized today. So when you're logging into the site, you're effectively logging into the WordPress content management system, and all of the comments that you create, any sort of blog posts, become sort of like pseudo blog posts. And that's not a great system. It carries a lot of weight, and we're moving away from that into a more a more sensical architecture, where you're logging into the web server, not our content management system, and that's how you're going to comment and manage yourself as a user and your blog posts and so on and so forth. Of course, a focus on improved site performance and stability. Again, something that's been increasingly more and more of a point of issue, particularly on Thurrott.com, our ability to stay online and without significant interruption. Of course, today we see that there's a CAPTCHA that we have present on Thurrott.com. Right. So that's an example of a concession that we have to make to get a little bit more headroom on the server and a little bit more capacity and generally kind of keep things alive. So definitely not good stuff, right? So there's a couple of caveats to this phase one, right? There is the potential that we may lose all of the historic context of comments on Thurrott.com. So any comments that end users have made over the years may be removed, maybe permanently, maybe for a period of time. A lot of maybes in there, right? But there's a lot of technical considerations to be made there with this migration to our new commenting system. It's important to note that in our observation, conversation on Thurrott, typically doesn't extend beyond 20 days, right? So articles greater than 20 days old, that's usually the point at which the conversation dies. So legacy comments, so to speak, are pretty well out of the picture at that point.
So Nick, this isn't in the slide, at least not that I see, but there is also this notion of not so much the history of the comments, but rather the amount of feedback or interaction that users have had. Is there? I believe there's going to be some work to hopefully get that. In other words, comment counts and so forth.
Yeah.
Still,
so in your user profile today, I think we display maybe number of comments, number of posts, something like that. General statistics that play into how long you've been an active member of the community and how active you have been in the community. We're making it a point to preserve that data, so that we are still highlighting folks that have been with us for a long time and have been significant contributors to the Thurrott.com community over time. But the underlying data, the actual comments themselves, may not come forward in this new iteration of Thurrott.com. Forms will disappear effectively in this phase one until our phase two launch, which we'll get into in just a minute. So we are rebuilding the Thurrott.com form experience top to bottom, and this area of the site is an exception to the sort of user interface stuff that we were just talking about, where the forms are actually changing. The user interface, how you create forum posts, how you interact with forum posts, how we and you moderate forum posts, is all changing, all being optimized to, again, kind of double down on the community aspects of the site and make it easier to surface good and interact with good content. As a function of this, and again, an area where we're not 100% clear on how this is actually going to play out, right? But new memberships will be paused in this phase one. So new folks will not be able to sign up for premium memberships. You will, if you have an existing premium membership, still have all of the benefits of your premium membership. You will still be a premium member through this process and afterwards. We are just in this initial phase because of all of the other areas that we're focusing on, not wrapping up, we don't think, the e-commerce aspects of our platform into this release.
So just from a user experience standpoint, a couple of small things that users might see for the short term during phase one is, I'll post a forum post, and Brad will for his the things that we do on Friday, right? And so those temporarily we'll just have normal posts, right? We'll still have that way to interact with readers, and Brad does his live thing that won't be impacted, but the place where you might go and ask him questions ahead of time, or the place where you might go and ask me questions ahead of time for that number of weeks, it will just be a normal post, and we'll just get through that, and then we'll go back to using the forums again.
Right, and also in this process, and I apologize, I didn't realize that I thought this was zoomed in only for myself and my ancient eyes here, right? So in that process, the user profile page, and some of the self-administration of things that don't work today anyways.
I was going to say it's pretty terrible anyway.
Yeah. Things like resetting your password, updating your email address, updating billing information. Some of that stuff in this phase one, you'll have to reach out to support at Thurrott.com to change those things, which is what you have to do today, right? So we're not losing anything there. We're wiping the slate clean a little bit so that we can kind of rebuild out of that.
Just to be clear, though, it's help at Thurrott.com.
Is it help at Thurrott.com? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's why they pay him the big bucks.
It's probably different on Petri. we'll figure it out eventually.
And the user profile page, which today is one of the slowest areas of the site, and again, sort of symptomatic of the aging architecture underlaying it, will be removed in this phase one, to again be improved. That's another area where we're going to have some new and improved user interface elements. But again, the core of the blog, so to speak, the homepage, the articles, how you consume the news content that Paul writes, that's not going to change from a user interface perspective. Phase two, as we pretty well discussed, top to bottom redesign of forms, something that I think is going to be really exciting for this city, and it's going to unlock a lot of capability for us to take things even further in the future on a new platform, a new architecture here. New basic members registration relaunches in phase two. So you will, in this phase, not be able to sign up as a new premium member, but we will bring in basic member sign up again. Simple user self-administration. So that's things like being able to update your password, being able to update your email address, that kind of deal. That's going to roll into phase two as well as email notifications for comments, right? So our integration with this new third-party open web unlocks a whole lot of functionality out of the box, and a lot of capability for us to build really cool integrations on Thurrott.com that we think are going to make discussions around our content much richer, more engaging, and more fulfilling for our users. And part of that is email notifications for comments. So today we're really relying on you to understand, hey, I commented on this article. I'm going to go back and check it later to see if anybody has engaged in some sort of discussion with me. In the future, in this phase two launch here, we're going to have email notifications that are going to let you know that somebody has responded to you directly, responded to a thread in an article, and we hope to take that further in the future. And expand that system to encompass things like, following a specific topic, a specific category, being notified every time Paul publishes an article. Not that I can understand why anybody would ever want an email notification for that, but it'll be there, right? So another caveat here with the launch of forums is that we're pretty certain that historic content on the forums is going to disappear. That's, again, it's something that that we have sort of weird nostalgic feelings about, right? Because I think for some users there's a bit of an emotional connection to, I've invested my time and my thought in this community, and there's a history of content that's been created there, um, that we could stand a pretty good chance of losing here. And again, this is something of a strategic decision based on our understanding that in the current form system, which we hope to change in this launch, um, conversations in a thread are generally speaking dormant after about 20 days or so. So we hope to create a system in which we can foster much better discoverability, and create richer dialogue, and keep conversations going for longer, and surface a
Yeah,
better
this is
and
yeah.
thought.
Forums are kind of tough today because they're this separate world. They're kind of off in a column on the side, and sometimes they sit and there's not a lot going on, and we want to make forums better, basically, and more integrated into the site. And so I feel like a lot of the forum stuff is of the time and not something you go back to a month, a year, whatever, necessarily. And we'll see what it looks like in the future. But yeah, this was kind of a tough one. But I think the way that forums will eventually work in the site will make this kind of hard change worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the hope. And again, all of these efforts are not just about fixing short-term problems, right? While that's a really important consideration here, we don't want to have downtime. We don't want to be dealing with some of the ailments that we have been of late. But this is really also about creating sustainable, scalable infrastructure that allows us to grow and to build beyond the scope of what we're looking at here is really um, it's like 80% feature parity with what we have today, right? So with forms, with comment
Yeah.
system, there's some new stuff coming online here, but most of it is how do we recreate what we have today in a way that's stable, sustainable, and scalable, so that we can do way more in the near future. So phase 3 here is going to bring back online the e-commerce components of Thurrott.com. So signing up for a new premium subscription. At this point, we think where we are right now in the engineering process, we think that this is the point at which we will restart processing transactions for premium folks. Now that may change, and as that changes, if it changes, we will be sure to be in communication with folks, so nobody has any surprises. But what we're not doing here is we're not turning off subscriptions. We're not turning off billing at the end of May and restarting it in August and charging you for everything in between there. That's not what we're doing at all, right? So if we have a period where and we're really trying to build our way out of this circumstance, but if we do have a period of time where we're not processing transactions for premium users, again, you're not going to lose your premium status. You're still going to be a premium user. You're going to have all of the features that you have today as a premium user in terms of your access to premium content. We're just going to delay your subscription, right? So we're just moving it, however many months, whether it's 1 month or 2 months down the road. We're not filling in that gap, So if you're an annual subscriber and your renewal month was August, and we have a 2-month period where we're not processing transactions, your renewal month would now be October, 2 months down the line. And with the monthly folks, again, we're just kind of moving it 2 months down the line. We're not going to be retroactively charging folks for anything like that.
As fun as that would be.
Yeah, as fun as that, right?
Yeah.
Our goal here, again, is sustainable, scalable infrastructure, and we're putting the reader experience, really, quite frankly, before our business needs and bottom line in this circumstance, and that's, we think, very much the right thing to do here. Enhance user visibility of control and control of subscription history and options. So this is kind of run of the mill for a lot of e-commerce sites, but stuff that just basic stuff that we're missing on that side. So looking at your billing history, your billing address, changing your subscription level, renewing your subscription, pausing your subscription, canceling your subscription, which we don't recommend, by the way. All of that functionality, we're vastly improving and reincorporating here again in phase 3. New premium member buyer journey. So this isn't something that existing premium folks will be exposed to, but we're going to be making it much easier for new premium members to sign up for premium. So things like one-click payment with Apple Pay, with Google Pay. Google Pay, is that a thing? Am I using the wrong word for that? Whatever it is that you non-Apple
it changes
people
names
do
every 2 months. Yep.
Yeah, whatever it is that you non-Apple people do, you can do it, and just a better sort of cart flow there, right? So renewed focus on the e-commerce aspects of the platform, because we are, at the end of the day, we are an e-commerce business, and it's time that we create the infrastructure that allows us to really optimize and create a world-class experience for folks there. So the user profile page that we talked about, that will be disappearing in phase 1, which is, I want to say right now it's structured as thurrott.com/user/your username. I could be wrong on that, though. That will reappear in phase 3 with a new user interface, again retaining some of the data that pertains to your tenure on Thurrott.com. So how many posts you've created over time, how many comments you've had over time, though again, some of that underlying data won't be moving forward with us.
Could you, now I see we have a schedule here sort of, but I mean, is there I will be transparent as we do this about what's happening and when and where we are and all that stuff. So as things happen, obviously I'll be posting about that, but do we have any sort of a less rough time frame, as like how long will phase 1 last roughly, or phase 2, et cetera? Can we speak to that at all?
Yeah. So we're looking at phase 1 somewhere in the area of early June. So we're looking at like June 15th, June 18th, somewhere in there. Phase 2, we're looking at
that date is the conclusion of phase 1, or what
Yes, that's the conclusion. So that's when we expect the public to be able to interact with these things, right? So not when we've started working. We've already started working on aspects across this timeline, but that's when we expect end users, the public, to be able to interact with the various phases that we're discussing here.
Okay.
Phase 2, we're looking at July 10th or so, in that area, and we have a range. So for example, we're looking at July 10th, potentially almost through the beginning of August, dependent upon many factors, right? And if we have that for good reason, right? So that if we come to a point where we feel like we could spend another 10 hours of work and get significant value out of that in terms of unlocking new functionality or shipping something early, shipping in phase 2, something that was a phase 3 component, moving forward some of our e-commerce functionality so that we don't have disruption or confusion in terms of payment schedules, even quick win, sort of end user functionality, things like a dark mode or something like that. Where we feel like we can spend a little bit more effort and get a lot more kind of bang for the buck of our readers, we're going to invest there. So that's why we have some flexibility in these timelines, right? And then also the reality that we're supporting another technology platform in Petri.com with limited resources. So our timelines can be a little bit limited in their ability to horizontally scale and their tendency to vertically I got that backwards. Limited in their ability to vertically scale with a propensity to horizontally scale.
Okay. So what I heard was we're going to ignore Petri for 6 months and we'll be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, we're going to watch it burn. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So phase 3, we're looking at mid-August, August 15th or so. And that could extend to early September. Again, just kind of based on where we can think we can grab additional value.
There's no such thing as a schedule that has ever unfurled on time, so we'll do what we can.
Sure. And this is not the end, right? This is our roadmap to mostly feature parity with investments in new functionality in forms and e-commerce, where we think we can get the most value initially here.
It's
right?
kind of where the site should be in many ways.
Sure, there's going to be a phase 4, a phase 5, a phase 6, and that's really the whole point of again creating sustainable, scalable infrastructure. Is that we can say hey, we've had a lot of feedback that we want to incorporate X. We want to new notification system for forms or community moderators on forums. Expanded user roles, right? So there's a lot of things that are going to follow this, and I'm really personally excited to get to a point where we have a consistent release schedule of new features and improvements on both Thurrott.com and Petri.com.
And I think from the reader's perspective, we try to get the disruptive stuff out of the way up front, and then what you should see over time is just additional features and improvements from then on out. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes, but that's the goal, right?
That's the goal.
Okay, good. So I thought you were going to say, actually, Paul, we're going to have significant disruptions down the road. Okay, good.
So you want to take some questions now, Paul?
Yeah, I do.
Now that I've consumed half of our time with my
So there's 2 things I want to do right up front, if that's okay with you. We have got a set of kind of what I think of as speed dating questions. I think we can kind of rifle through. They were all kind of in a list, but first I want to address the last question that was asked in the original announcement post about the AMA. JF and NYC said, I thought a big part of the reason for the move, I guess this would be my move, from winsupersite.com to Thurrott.com was to get a better CMS. And yet Thurrott.com seems to have many of the same old problems. Are you just cursed? And yes, I am just cursed. It's kind of hard to explain how different these companies are. Penton, which was the company that eventually owned winsupersite.com, was a huge conglomerate that was involved with farming and industrial manufacturing and all kinds of things that have nothing to do with personal technology. The company I work for now, BWW Media Group, is a very small company, very focused on this type of thing that we're doing here. And I don't know that I mean, yes, it's fair to say we've had CMS issues. They're not the same issues. So at Penton, I had to deal with this incredible bureaucracy and ever-changing bureaucracy, and different teams of people would come in and things would change over time and so forth. This is a small team, and I think it's neat that we put Nick in front of you today, because I work with Nick every day, right? And so you can get a feel for the competence here, and I feel like I do, that this stuff's going to happen. It's great. So we went through a period of time where it was a little iffy on the back end, and we're going to make all that stuff right. So it's not the same problem, but I'm in Mexico, so I'll sacrifice a chicken or whatever I have to do, and we'll get past the curse. If the Red Sox can do it, anyone can do it. And then, or as I said to Nick earlier, one time is a coincidence, 2 times is a pattern, 3 times is a curse. I don't know. So we'll see. Okay. So Nick, if you don't mind, maybe we'll do the speed dating question. So this is J5 and DFTF.
Yeah. And like the Red Sox, right? We plan to have this thing hammered down in 83 years or so, right? So
yeah. 83 years. Okay.
However long it takes to break the curse.
It was about 83 years, I think. So questions are: an edit button for comments and forum posts. Also delete comments. Oh, I was asking.
Oh, that was a question. Huh.
The answer is
I thought you were just talking to yourself again. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. Also asking about a mobile version of the site. The current site does not work well on phones or tablets.
Yeah. That pretty well kind of hits the nail on the head, right? So there's a lot of stuff, beyond just the performance and speed of server response times and things like that are not super tailored to mobile devices. And I think something like 75% of our users are interacting with the site via some sort of mobile device or tablet, and that's a huge cohort of our traffic that's not getting even the best experience that we offer today, which is unfortunately on desktop, right? So we're incorporating a renewed focus on how can we create the best experience for the most users, and that means focusing on mobile and site speed and reliability.
Okay. Question about the forums. More options for subject and category of posting. Search needs to work. I skipped over a question, so I'll get back to that. More options to post links, emojis, replying to comments, liking comments.
Yeah, 100%. Right. We're super on board with that, and we're like I said earlier, with our integration with this new third-party open web, we're getting a lot of that functionality out of the box, right? So this is an area that's particularly difficult with a sort of homegrown form solution. Finding the right balance of content that can actually be input into that system and effectively parsed and stored and relayed back to folks when that data is recalled. Integrating with a third party who focuses on this and solving these problems all day, every day, 365 days a year, is going to allow us to unlock a lot of this new functionality.
Okay. And then I skipped over this by mistake. Site search is really bad. We could all agree that's true.
There it is. Yeah. It is, right. So again, an area where we're not gonna be changing the user interface so much, but we are going to be changing the underlying infrastructure of search. So what we're using right now is the just kind of out of the box WordPress. It's very much like a keyword title post content based search. There's really not too much of an algorithmic component to it, but we're moving to, as we have on Petri, Amazon Cloud Search, which we can train over time and work to continually refine, because we do think that's a really important part of content discovery. So that we hope will be better initially, and certainly continually over time improved.
Okay, we got to speed this up because there's a lot of questions. I want to make sure we get to questions from people who are here as well. So,
all right, I'm going to give one-word answers from now on.
Yeah. You're on the stand. Just answer the question, sir. I mean, some of these we've answered, right? So account profile management, we've covered that. The ability to heart or like an article to show that I like this article. They're asking for a read later type functionality. That sounds like something that would come later.
Yep. Yeah. That's a stage 4, stage 5, kind of feature,
Okay.
but certainly in the cards.
2FA to stop bots and spammers. Yes, for sure. I think our new system will kind of help with that a lot in the comments, especially.
Yeah. So in our updates to how folks authenticate, we're bringing in new functionality and new safeguards, verifying not your identity, but your credential, your email, mobile phone number, what have you, as you're signing up, and certainly over time as you're logging in, to try to create genuine interactions in the platform.
Plus, this, and not that anybody cares, this is a big one for me because I deal with a lot of this stuff on the back end, and I often have these questions like, how did this even get here? How did this happen? So I think that will all go away.
And we also have plans to hire Elon Musk to handle all of the bots.
Yes, he's doing great at Twitter, so why not? A Discord or real-time chat so that you can hang out for all registered members. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And that's not in the 3-phase system we have now, but that's something we'll log for the to-do list for sure. That's interesting. These next two don't really have anything to do with you, Nick. I'm sorry, but a dedicated podcast page or area. We sort of do have that. It could probably be better. We currently have a block on the homepage for podcasts, which I've always been a little iffy about. But once we get the site to where it needs to be, I think we can start thinking about the organization of things, and we'll look at that.
Yep.
And then the same thing with a what I use section. That's something I could just add right now. So I will do that. How's that? I'll make that one easy. I will add a what's new section to the navigation. And then there's an easy way to view just another series write-ups in a section. Oh, that's interesting. So like the digital photo minimalist series. Okay, yeah. There's actually I do think from time to time there's stuff like that I should be adding to the site app. So we'll look into doing that kind of stuff for sure. So if maybe we should look at some of the questions we have from the live folks, just so we make sure we get to those, and then we can go back to some of the other questions from before.
Yeah. So David, it says, my membership renews in June. Is there anything changing in regards to the part of the site that handles billing that I should be concerned about? Good question. I again want to just reiterate that. There's the potential that we will not have launched the e-commerce functionality of Thurrott.com. Will not have relaunched the e-commerce functionality of Thurrott.com prior to June. Right, so there's the potential here that there will be a gap in your billing, but your subscription payments are not going to stack up, right? So if you're a monthly member, and we don't launch until August, you're not going to pay for July and August. It's just going to sort of move June's payment down.
We're not going to bill you 3 times in August.
Right. And if you're an annual subscriber, you're going, even if there's a lapse, so to speak, kind of on paper, if your annual subscription expires in June, and we don't bring e-commerce functionality online until August, you're not going to lose premium functionality in that period of time. Your annual subscription is going to renew in August when we theoretically bring e-commerce back online, with complete continuity in your premium status.
Okay.
Let's look. I like the current theme, newspaper style. Again, the current theme of the vast majority of the site is not going to be changing. There are some specific areas in terms of user authentication, your profile forms, where we are making some changes, both in terms of user interface and functionality. But outside of that, no. Let's see. This is a really good question. So this individual says, it would be great if members could get an RSS feed with the full article content. Yeah, we agree, right? right? So I think right now everybody gets a snippet in the RSS feed.
That's right. Yep.
And so that's something that we're going to be carrying forward in the first 3 phases here. But improvement in the sense that it's actually going to work, which it often doesn't for folks today. But we do have plans in the future to kind of for premium folks, gate full access to sort of a fire hose stream of full content in the RSS feed.
That's actually a great premium feature in a way, or an idea for a great premium feature, I guess.
Let's see. Just looking through some previously submitted comments on Thurrott.com here. Will it be possible for free users to post or at least read comments on premium articles? Yes. That is the that's the intended functionality today.
That's supposed to work. Yeah. So related to this, we have a weird bug right now where non-premium users who use one of their tokens. So non-premium users have 3 tokens, I believe, per month to read premium articles. They'll, unfortunately, some of these have lots of images, and the images aren't appearing. So this should be cleared up by the first phase site refresh, I believe, right? And then as far as posting and reading comments, I believe that should be available today, but you have to use one of your tokens to get in the first place, right? You won't see the comments or without that, I believe.
So that's the current functionality. So if you are a free user, right, who's using a token, you get 3 premium articles a month for free as sort of basic user. You will be able to see the discussion there and contribute to it. Let's see. Paul, this is a good question for you. Would you consider posting the premium newsletter on the website?
Yes. And this has been something we should have done a long time ago and haven't, and it comes up from time to time. So my short-term plan for this is to post a premium newsletter article, I guess we'll call it, to the site after it's gone out through the newsletter. And we're just kind of trying to figure out what the time frame for that looks like. The issue is the body of articles that are out there, right? I've been doing this longer than I thought. I think I've been doing this for almost 2 years now, or at least a year and a half, something like that. And so you can do the math on how many posts that is. So I think the easiest way to do this is I create a forum post on Monday that says, hey, this is a place where you can leave questions and comments. I'm probably going to be pasting the article into that forum post. And when forum posts are better integrated into the site, it will just appear as a normal article, and it will make it more of a normal experience. So it's probably going to wait for all that to happen. But yeah, we've been talking about this for a long time, and we'll make this happen one way or the other.
Cool. So this individual asks, so I will be able to see my posts/comments in my profile. Yes. So this is actually a feature that exists today. However, it doesn't always work, and when it does work, it's slow and a little bit confusing, right?
Yeah. Right.
So what we're talking about here is that you'll keep your stats, right? So the number of comments and posts that you've had on Thurrott.com, up until we launch stage 1 here. But you will not keep like the full text of your comments. They will not display in your profile anymore. And we think that that's going to be a net positive and create some focus on community interactions that we can hopefully keep folks more engaged with. So going forward, any posts that you create, comments that you make will appear on your profile when that launches, along with your stats, just not anything that existed prior to this relaunch.
Right.
And Rick asks, if I make a comment, will I be able to set an alert email if someone replies, yeah, you will. So beginning in, I want to say stage 2 here, if I'm not incorrect. It's almost like I'm not running the technology here. Yeah. So in phase 2 here, you'll be able to set email alerts for interactions in the threads that you create. So let's see. RSS feeds for podcasts back in. Yes. Yeah. So RSS
Right.
feeds for podcasts. So we recently switched over to a new podcast hosting provider. So again, like a lot of other areas of our technology, podcast is one where we were using WordPress for things that it really wasn't designed to do. So our podcasts on both Thurrott and Petri were really just a post category. And we relied on the post category RSS feed that comes out of WordPress as standard to be the sort of end all be all feed for podcasts in that particular vertical for each individual show. That system was quite fragile and susceptible to caching issues and update delays. So we recently moved over to a third-party hosting provider called Blueberry, and we've seen good results with First Ring Daily. Staying updated in the platforms that we push out to, so like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. And we're still working out a couple small kinks in RSS feeds for podcasts. But that's something that we actually expect to be, fully worked out in the very near term here, like in the next week or so. So yes, you will be able to use the RSS feeds for podcasts again very shortly. And the idea is that the RSS feed that everybody has been using, I want to say it's thurrott.com/podcast/FRD, something like that, will redirect to the new feed that comes out of our new podcast hosting provider. Let's see. Will there be a calendar alert in new site of events or something? Asked Paul. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So there's no plans for that, but what do you think,
right.
Paul?
I was just looking at that. So in thinking about the way that we do things right now, and I mentioned how I was thinking about the premium newsletter and kind of turning that question post into the post over time, I was thinking that Brad and I could do the same thing for our Friday Q&A things that we do. And this is it. This is, and also just related to this, I've gotten a couple of questions recently from people who say, hey, I see this Ask Paul thing on Friday, but I don't understand where it is I go to ask a question, which comes up from time to time too. So yeah, this is actually a really interesting idea, that the notion that we could trigger an alert and say, hey, there's going to be this thing on Friday, whatever day, like the same day we did, and then allow them to understand when it's going to happen. So yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about this exactly, but this is an interesting idea. So
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I can't say yes to it. I don't. I mean, yes, I promise you, Nick will do this, and he will do it this week. No, I don't. I can't really say. So maybe this, like some of the other things we've gotten that won't happen in these first 3 phases, I think we should add this to the list and figure out if we can do it, and then how and when we might be able to do that.
Yeah, and we really hope to, in the broader sense, create something of a product council, so to speak, that's comprised of Thurrott.com members and significant community contributors to help us in defining what this platform grows up to be, and where we might grows up to be. Of course, it's been around for quite some time, but to help us kind of define where we can best make investments, particularly in the sense of community and end user functionality on Thurrott.com.
Right.
John asked, is the comment box going to include any more functionality, markdown, etc.? Yes. Yes. Yeah, I wish I had a specific example of what that's going to look like, but you can go on to petri.com and look at any article there. And we actually have this comment system running, however, in guest mode there. But you can get a good sense of the types of content that you'll be able to post, and it's pretty impressive, right? So everything from static images to GIFs to Markdown, to code snippets and things like that.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's great. I didn't even think. Yeah, of course. Go to Petri. This system is in place in Petri. It's excellent.
Yeah.
And actually, the first time I saw it, I came back and I said, "You aren't seriously letting guests post comments." And what you explained to me was that this system is so good that we can do that at Petri. We'll see. We'll see how it withstands this site. But it's such an improvement over what we have today. It's night and day.
Yeah. No, it is backed by an extraordinarily robust ML backend that allows us to really kind of fine tune the types of language that either just gets immediately dumped in the trash bin, the old affiliate link spam and that kind of stuff, and the stuff that might require human eyes to determine is this a good contribution to the discussion, relevant, whatever.
But I mean,
or not.
They'll still be able to get to like the Pakistani reading sites and the other stuff we always get on my site for some reason, right? I mean, that will still get through, I hope. So,
oh yeah. No, it's like Thurrott.com
I don't want
would
the site
be
to change fundamentally. I just
yeah, we would be nothing without like my uncle Abdul wants to send you $3 million in gold and just needs a small deposit up front.
We're not going to lose our soul, is the point.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got 5 minutes left here. It looks like we're caught up in terms of questions. Paul, is there anything that you want to sort of add as a capstone to this discussion here?
Well, no, I mean, I've sort of voiced this before. I'm just happy this is happening finally. It's been tough for a while because we all see the problems, and we've wanted to fix this for a long time, and I'm just glad that we are finally making concrete steps, to make that happen. So I think the experience is going to be dramatically better immediately, even though we'll lose a few things temporarily, like the forums, and that it will just keep getting better from here on out. And so I think one of the nice things about Nick coming on board is that we've become more regimented, and we're adopting schedules, and we're actually hitting milestones and doing things and all that stuff. So if you just visit Thurrott.com, you might not have seen any of that yet, but you will. And it's just something I've been waiting for a long time. So I'm happy that it's happening.
Awesome. Well, we thank everyone so much for.
I'm sorry. There's one more thing I should say. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
If there is a question that we did not get to, there is a post on Thurrott.com that sort of announces this AMA. Leave those. I'll interact in the comments there with new questions. I'll look through the list here and in the previous post to see if there's anything we might have overlooked, and we'll try to get those answered as well. Reach out to me if you don't get a response. My email address is my name, so it's paul@thurrott.com. So I'm easy to reach, but we will try to get going.
That's
on that
really what your parents named you? Paul@thurrott.com.
Yeah. Well, they were tech savvy.
That's a hell of a name. Yeah. And feel free to reach out to either of us on Twitter, or anywhere. The Thurrott.com help desk, whatever. We thank you all so much for taking the time to tune in and be engaged in the discussion here, and we're really happy and excited to be moving the ball forward on Thurrott.com, and to bring new functionality and more stability on a better platform that's poised to grow.
Yep. Yeah. Just let us know if we missed anything, if there's stuff you want that we never mentioned or whatever, please, let us know.
All right. With that, I think we're signing off.
Okay.